Welcome to Belgro's Funeral Home, where we celebrate life's precious moments. From the moment you enter our doors, you're met with kindness and care. Our reception area is designed to be more than just a waiting room. It is a place of calm, thoughtfully created to ease the weight of grief. In our private conference room, conversations are guided by empathy. Here, our client experience coordinators sit beside you, not just across the table to help plan a service that truly reflects your loved one's story. Whether it's a traditional farewell or a personalized celebration of life, we take time to understand your wishes and offer thoughtful guidance. At the heart of our organization is a dedicated manager who ensures that everything runs smoothly, from the smallest detail to the final farewell. We understand that choosing a casket or a coffin is a deeply personal decision. In our selection room, we provide a calm, respectful environment where families can take their time and explore options that reflect their loved one's life, beliefs, and preference. Our spacious chapel is where memories are honored and lives are celebrated, designed with serenity and warmth. It provides a welcoming space for families and friends to come together in reflection and remembrance. For families choosing cremation, we offer on-site professional cremation services in a setting that upholds dignity, peace, and confidentiality. Our crematorium offers a seamless and respectful alternative to traditional burial, giving families flexibility while maintaining the highest standard of care.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to the Tobago Update Morning Show. Yes, my name is Akin Nabihola and today is Thursday, the 20th of November 2025. I am so glad that you are here and in the land of the living and you are ready to have conversations with us. Yes, have discussions with us this morning. We have a lot of interesting conversations. As you know, we continue our International Men's Day celebrations this week and we have some really interesting conversations lined up for you today that most people don't have concerning issues surrounding men. So we want you to stay with us, stick with us as we have those conversations. We hope that you're up, you're ready, you had your tea, your coffee, your Milo, your cricks and cheese, your egg omelette, whatever you may have had, and you're getting ready. You've gotten those children ready, get ready to get them to school, and you're preparing to head off to work and to give it your best. So before we get into any of those conversations, we head on over to our news in 90 seconds.
Okay, good morning. I am Akim Allen, and here's what making your news in 90 seconds for Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Yesterday, various groups and sectors across the island observed and celebrated International Men's Day, with this year's theme celebrating men and boys. Male officers attached to the Trinidad and Tobago Armed Forces, including the Defense Force, TTPS, Fire Service, Prison Service, amongst others, marched through the streets of Scarborough in support and solidarity of the unique challenges faced by men. Adding a culinary touch to the day, Chief Secretary Farley Augustine spent his morning with the children at the Little Stars at Little Jules Early Childhood Center as they mastered the Muscle Man Punch. Also sending out greetings on the day was Minority Leader Kelvin Morris, who took to his social media thanking men for leading with integrity, further reminding them that it was okay to embrace both strength and vulnerability. Up next, just as she's accused the CPO of deliberately stalling talk with the Public Service Association following Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessa's October 13 budget declaration, PSA President Felicia Thomas is now calling on the Housing Development Corporation to reinstate the 26 contractual employees who were recently terminated. Thomas said she has initiated talks with the company's leadership, which is due to continue on Monday. However, HDC's Chairman Khan defended the board's decision, saying that when the Pacific Department was established, only 13 staff members were needed. He said that number was bloated to 68 and has been sucking the corporation's finances. And finally, the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Office has issued an adverse weather alert number 1, yellow level, as of 1:52 a.m. today, Thursday, November 20th, 2025, and due to end at 9:30 a.m. later this morning. Citizens are advised to expect a continuation of moderate showers from yesterday afternoon. These conditions are associated with the passage of a low-level trough enhanced by favorable mid to upper-level flow. Scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms can be expected, mostly favoring southern Trinidad and to a lesser extent Tobago. Possible impacts include street flash flooding, localized ponding, and landslides. The Met Office further advises the public to remain vigilant and monitor weather conditions. These stories and much more in our major newscast at 6:30 p.m. Be viewing Tobago Updates Television. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you very much, Akeem, for that news in 90 seconds. And we see where the weather conditions continue to be wet. The alert going up to yellow, and the persons need to be careful. They need to take their times on the roads and just safeguard themselves and their properties, Akeem.
Yes, I do agree. I really do think that the public will need to take heed of the warning that were presented in the recent news update. And I really do think that if they don't take heed, that they will be under a lot of distress and whatnot if they are not careful.
Yes. So we urge you, members of the public, to really take heed of the warnings from the Met Office. They're looking out for our best interests, and we also want to urge fishermen. We know that you make your living on the seas, but the waters right now, the weather right now, it's dangerous, it's precarious. So we ask that you maybe take a couple of days off and safeguard yourselves. Your family wants you home safe, gentlemen. So please take heed of the warnings from the Met Office. We also see the situation in Trinidad concerning employment. We know since there's been a change in administration, there's been some upheaval in terms of employment statuses of a lot of individuals in Trinidad, and it seems to be continuing right now.
Well, yes, I do think that's a concerning thing worth talking about. I really do think that for something like that to happen, it really does bring a lot of trial and tribulation for a lot of people, and I really do hope that such an issue can be resolved as soon as possible.
Yes, especially with this Christmas period coming up, we hope that persons could have some sort of resolution, because you know persons will need the finances to take care of their families for that Christmas period. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Akeem Allen, for reading our news in 90 seconds, and we hope that you have a productive day.
Thanks a lot, Akin Abiola.
All right, viewers, so it's that time of the morning. It's that time to celebrate with those who are celebrating with us. It's time for our birthday shout-outs. Yes, and at Tobago Updates, we like to celebrate with those who are celebrating, and we start the birthday shout-outs, which will be very, very short today, by saying happy birthday to Miss Candice Kwashi. Happy birthday to you, Candice. God's richest blessings on your birthday. We pray that you grow from strength to strength and that you grow from success to success. Yes, take the time off. We know it's wet outside today, but we hope that you celebrate safely. Yes, celebrate safely. We want to see you beyond today. We want you in the land of the living beyond today. So be careful on the nation's roads when you go out to celebrate tonight. And we hope that you have a fun time and you stay safe. We also say happy birthday to Miss Megan Allen, who will be our final celebrant today. Happy birthday to you, Miss Allen. God's richest blessings. Yes, we see that bright, beautiful smile. And we know that smile will continue throughout the day and even throughout the weekend. You might carry your celebrations into the weekend. And we hope that you have an amazing time. You're surrounded with friends and family, and that you feel the love and joy that you so richly deserve. Yes, viewers, and whatever you're celebrating, whether it's your birthday, anniversary, you have a new job, you're moving to a new house, you have a new apartment, whatever you're celebrating, you just started that business, you just closed that business deal, whatever you're celebrating, we want you to celebrate with us here at Tobago Updates. Yes, and we will celebrate with you, and all of our viewers who are logging on wherever they are, they will celebrate with you as well. All right, so this morning, like I said earlier, our program this morning is a very interesting one. And up first, we have Dr. Paul Richards, who is a former senator, multimedia professional, and a lecturer, and he's coming to talk to us about domestic violence against men. After that, we're going to have on Mr. Michael Stewart, who's a motivational speaker and communication consultant, and he's going to be talking about Let's Meet, Let's Talk. And finally, we're going to have in our Men in Business segment, Mr. Sean Durham, the owner of Perfect Tint, and Mr. Asher, as well as a number of other businesses. He's going to be talking about his journey in entrepreneurship. So we have a very, very interesting lineup for you all. We want you all to be with us as we have these discussions, and we thank you for logging on to our Facebook page, or Facebook Live, or YouTube channel, 102 on AMPLIA, 121 and 130 on Flow, and 33 on Digital, wherever you are, whether it's in Tobago, Trinidad, the Caribbean, or worldwide. We thank you for logging on with us, and we ask you to do us a favor, to share the live, share the live, share the live. When we come back, we'll have conversations with Dr. Paul Richards.
We waiting so long, the people missed the bacchanal. Tobago. The countdown is on for Tobago Day 2025. From November 27th to December 6th, the island comes alive under the theme, One Tobago, One People, One Destiny.
The celebration begins with the Tobago Torch Run, led by the Chief Secretary, Assemblyman, and our proud sporting groups.
Then, on November 28th, the THA Triathlon takes center stage. On November 29th, we all head to the Shore Park Recreational Grounds for the Tobago Games, Sports and Family Day, games we used to play from 6 p.m.
Join us on December 2nd for the Thanksgiving Harvest Service at the Shore Park Complex from 10 a.m.
Bring your Tobago produce, share your blessings, and celebrate community. Then, December 3rd and 4th, discover our roots on the Scarborough Heritage Bus Tours. 2 daily departures at 9 a.m. and 1 p.m.
On December 4th, witness excellence at the Tobago Day Debate beginning at 10 a.m. at the Assembly Legislature.
And the Tobago Day Awards ceremony, 7 p.m. at the Shore Park Complex.
And for the grand finale,
December 6th, the cultural concert and drone show lights up the Scarborough Esplanade from 7 p.m. It's all about Tobago Day 2025. One Tobago, one people, one destiny.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Before we head into the interview with Dr. Paul Richards, I just want to introduce my co-host. Yes, Mr. Beard Boss himself, Akil Andrews, will be co-hosting with me this morning. Good morning and welcome, sir.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
All right, so Mr. Andrews, you're excited about today. We have a lot of interesting interviews to happen.
Excited and nervous. But yeah, I'm excited to be here.
All right. So we have on the line with us Dr. Paul Richards, who's a former senator, multimedia professional and lecturer, and he's here to talk about something that we don't really talk about a lot in Trinidad and Tobago, and that is domestic violence against men. Yes, we usually talk about domestic violence with men being the perpetrators, and we're very well educated on domestic violence concerning men being the perpetrators, but we hardly ever speak about men being the victims of domestic violence. So good morning and welcome, Dr. Richards. Good morning, Dr. Richards.
Good morning to you and good morning to your audience.
Yes, so Dr. Richards, domestic violence against men, it's rarely spoken about in Trinidad and Tobago. There's not a lot of public awareness concerning the issue. Tell us, how prevalent is this issue in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, good morning again. First of all, I didn't know we were talking specifically about domestic violence against men, but I don't have statistics, but I can tell you it is, if you understand the context of the word domestic violence, it involves a broad range of behaviors, of abusive behaviors toward women and men and children. So I'm presuming that the statistics may not be as profound or high as women, but certainly it is something that happens in society. And because men are socialized not to speak about these things because of their perspectives on their masculinity, or the impact of admitting that they've been the victim of domestic violence on their masculinity in terms of societal expectations and stereotypes. It may be very underreported, but we are sure that it is happening.
So, what are you thinking in terms of men? Do you think that there are societal structures or institutional structures rather that encourage men to really come forward and report when they're under those circumstances?
Well, the systems are in place. I mean, the laws are in place for both men and women, and the reporting structures are in place with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service or any of the other agencies that deal with any kind of violence. But because of the expectations, as I said before, and the societal structures that sometimes have an impact on men's psyches, the reports are not, men don't tend to make the reports. They socialize generally to, well, suck it up, be a man, quote unquote, deal with your situation however you want to deal with it, as opposed to finding a way to be vulnerable and report the issue so it can be dealt with properly.
You hinted it towards a sort of cultural mindset that men have towards dealing with these things. What do you think would be the best way to break down those attitudes towards this topic?
I think we should take a broader view and look at and I understand it's International Men's Day celebrated this week, and we're looking at the issues that's related to men. But if we look at domestic violence as a broad view, in a broad sense, we have to ask ourselves how we're socializing our young men and our young women in terms of conflict resolution and dealing with conflicts that come up in their intimate and familial relationships. So if antisocial or non-productive ways of dealing with conflict and arguments and disagreements are the norm in terms of verbal abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, then it becomes the norm both ways, not only from men to women, but also from women to men. So I think the conversation needs to be about how we deal with conflict resolution generally, and how men perceive themselves and how they perceive their masculinity in terms of being able to be vulnerable and seek help, find ways to report these issues and talk about them so that they can be a sort of national conversation on how we can move ourselves forward in dealing with conflict generally.
You have heard on several occasions anecdotal stories from a number of men who have gone to the police to report domestic violence against them. And even in some cases when women go to report domestic violence against them, they've noted that the police take a very blasé approach towards dealing with the matter. How can the state make their contribution in terms of bringing a more serious approach towards dealing with domestic violence?
While I have also heard those anecdotal stories, I will tell you my information is that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has made great strides in their victim wellness and support unit under, I think it's Senior Superintendent Claire Guy Allen, in terms of training officers at the various police stations and police posts to deal with any report of domestic violence in a more productive way. Yes, we've heard the reports in the past, but I think the police service has made a great consistent effort in dealing with the reports that have come in the past and how officers deal with domestic violence reports made by both women and men, and the sensitivities that must be applied when dealing with these situations. So I think while we may have in the past heard about those reports, I think those reports have significantly been reduced because of the efforts of the TTPS in training their officers and dealing with them, in particular through the Victim and Wellness Support Unit.
So we're talking about the issues that men face. What are some of the issues apart from nurturing? Because we hinted on nurturing earlier in the interview. But what are some of the issues apart from nurturing that may contribute to persons becoming violent within a domestic setting?
Well, there's several contributing factors to persons choosing to become violent. Some may say the wider society has a culture of violence. If you look at our crime statistics in the past 10 to 15 years and the kinds of crimes we're seeing committed against both women and men, there is a general desensitization about violence generally, and certainly because of the numbers of reports we hear about domestic violence and abuse, we as a country, as a society, as a nation have become very desensitized to these reports. And in some ways, unfortunately, it has become normalized because we don't have an abhorrent reaction anymore, because we say, okay, you see it in the newspaper, you see a lot of it, the kind of interaction we see on social media that has become normalized, where people cursing out each other. TikTok in particular, you see a kind of unfortunate almost entertainment value to abusive interactions and curse outs and stuff like that. So the society has become very numb and desensitized. So it's almost become normalized in a way, as opposed to society saying, why are they responding like that? Why are they interacting like that? So I think that is one of the things we need to work on, particularly with the minors in society, because they're the next generations who are primarily being socialized in this way. And if they feel it's okay to, based on what they see on social media in particular, because that's where most of us spend our time these days in terms of information intake and culture intake and socialization, and they think it's normal to see that on social media, if they see our leaders interacting in a particular kind of way, let's not pretend that we don't see the kinds of interactions we see in the highest offices in the land, in the parliament sometimes, making its way into social media and mainstream media. And the young ones are looking at it and seeing, well, if our leaders can be interacting like that, and if our general society is interacting like that, why should we not consider it normal? Why shouldn't we think that's the way we should interact and resolve our conflicts? So I think that is something we need to look at as a country very seriously.
You hinted towards a number of issues. There are a number of cultural issues that we have in Trinidad and Tobago, whether it's on social media or otherwise. But there is a particular part of our culture that we tend to glorify a lot. And tell me how you think that factors into the issue we have with violence in our society. That issue of where we praise alcoholism a lot, the intaking of alcohol, getting drunk and living that kind of carefree, reckless style of life.
Well, it's a good point. I mean, your co-host there looks like a pretty young man. He's involved in social activities. I am sure he has been exposed, and his colleagues and his peers, to some aspects of culture, because we're not here to demonize our culture in any way. But and not only Trinidad and Tobago, there are very various aspects of culture that normalize behaviors that evolve into very antisocial and frowned upon activities. So I am sure he has been subject to or exposed to, growing up, different kinds of cultural expressions that seem to normalize, for example, in not only Trinidad and Tobago culture, but culture around the world, men disparaging women and looking at women in a particular way, or portraying women in a particular way, which also seeps into the normalization of how we treat women and how we deal with women and how we respect or don't respect women in our general lives, that people sometimes feel is separate to entertainment, culture, interactive, intimate relationships, etc., because it's all multidimensional, it's all interacting in different ways. So we have to look at ourselves as a whole, and it's not exclusive to Trinidad, Tobago, or the Caribbean, it's all over the world. The difference is, in more developed countries, the criminal justice system is developed and more responsive to those sorts of situations when they arise. So those are the ways we need to look at in terms of improving our responses to them, so that we can have better outcomes for generations to come.
You spoke about the ways in which men are conditioned to view women and that kind of thing. The NGOs that work in Trinidad and Tobago towards sort of reshaping and reforming society, what kinds of synergies in your experience, do you think they have with state agencies?
The NGO community in Trinidad and Tobago is one of the most underrated, underutilized, powerful change agents we have in Trinidad and Tobago. And because of the many social ills, because of the many issues we have had to deal with over our 60 plus years as an independent nation, and quite frankly, before that, our NGO system have evolved in a very sophisticated manner with very little resources sometimes. Yes, there's state support in many cases to help deal with the situation. So I think what we need to do is find better mechanisms to integrate the NGOs in Trinidad Tobago to continue their work, to support them and to provide more resources so that they can have an even greater impact on dealing with societal ills and supporting the vulnerable in society. So I think the NGO community in the country and the laws have recently been updated to deal with NGOs and how they are formed and how they are regulated can be one of our greatest resources if we have better integrative mechanisms to help them do their work more pervasively and more consistently.
Dr. Richards, you spoke about the mechanisms to integrate them into the state apparatus. What sort of mechanisms do you think would work best?
I think ministries, governments need to understand that NGOs are not there to compete with them. During my tenure as an independent senator, I had the honor to serve as chairman of the Joint Select Committee, Social Services and Public Administration, where in addition to government ministries, several NGOs also came before us to talk about the challenges they were having and the good works that they've been able to do in terms of working with ministries. And very often they cited a siloed approach in Trinidad and Tobago where they're doing their work and the ministry is doing its work. And there's a lot of overlap and sometimes conflict in that system. So I think the ministries having the state behind them because they are of the government, of the cabinet, have to find ways to include NGOs as part of how they execute their duties as government. And I think that is one of the ways, if there's an understanding and an acknowledgement that NGOs are powerful, they are doing the work, they are on the ground actually, they are of the communities, of the villages, of the towns, and they are basically formed because of the needs and the gaps that exist in society, that the government and the ministries, whoever is in power in Trinidad and Tobago, plays a more active role in trying to integrate them more consistently.
Okay, so apart from domestic violence, what do you think is, like another prevalent issue that men face in our society that is not taken seriously enough?
Well, looking at your show and other talk shows over the week, because when we celebrate International Men's Day, of course, a lot of the issues that face men come up is the issue of how we define masculinity in Trinidad and Tobago, and there are very stereotypical ways of defining masculinity. Some of them extremely unproductive, and some of them we are continuing to perpetuate, which are not productive. For example, your colleague spoke about men not reporting domestic violence or abuse situations because of how they may be perceived. How we socialize our boys, how we socialize our girls to accept, in some instances, different types of abuse. So I think the conversation about what is a man and what is a man's role as society evolves is one of the ways we need to do a lot more work, and not only as International Men's Day comes around, which is generally when it intensifies, but on a continuous basis as a mean to sometimes deal with our crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago, because it starts small. It starts with boys not understanding how to express their emotions productively, how to resolve their conflicts with dialogue and not weapons. How boys, because of how the gaps in society and the gaps in socializing agents like family, religious organizations, in some instances, state agencies, don't know what their place is, the education system, are unable to find productive ways to resolve their conflicts within themselves, between themselves, and in their intimate relationships. we need to have that national conversation on a more consistent basis. We need to go into schools, particularly in primary schools, to have powerful ways and consistent ways to counter the cultural narrative that's coming at them through social media, because they are being socialized through social media in a very powerful way, and in many instances in very unproductive ways. So there are so many messages coming at young men, young boys and young girls, that is socializing them to accept what they see on social media and in pop culture as the norm, when in fact it is very antisocial, it is very unproductive, and it will manifest itself later, if not corrected, in unproductive intimate relationships, marriages and adult relationships, and also unproductive means of resolving interhuman conflict that we see in society and ends up on the streets as gang warfare and other types of crime.
Dr. Richards, you stated that need for that change in behavior, and that's really more of a public education drive to really change people's mindsets and attitudes and perceptions towards masculinity and conflict resolution, teaching men how to deal with their issues in a non-violent manner. For the powers that be, how do you think that they see this as a urgent matter or something that is very critical towards even addressing something like crime?
I do. I think I've had interactions with the Minister of Social Development and Families, with Social Development, Minister Mohit, and other individuals who form the present cabinet. I know the Minister of Justice is very keen on dealing with some of these issues, and other persons who are involved in the present cabinet and in the past government of Trinidad and Tobago. Excuse me. The issue is that how consistent is the messaging? You spoke earlier on about public awareness campaigns, and I don't think it should be a campaign. I think it should be so built in to how the state deals with these issues from the very ground level all the way up to where we see, excuse me, how our criminal justice system applies to, let's just say, recidivism and the persons who are on remand and who take years to go through the system. Excuse me, I seem to have developed a cough. So it has to be a comprehensive, holistic approach as opposed to a campaign, because campaigns usually have a timeline, and the timelines don't seem to have the kind of long-term effects that we would have liked to see in the past. It has to be a whole retooling, re-engineering of how we deal with these issues on a more consistent basis, on a multi-sectorial basis, on an integrative basis, so that we can see the results that we want to see and monitor and evaluate our actions and if they're bearing the results that we envision.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Paul Richards, for joining us this morning to discuss a number of issues surrounding men, including domestic violence and domestic violence against men. We wish you a productive day, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much to both of you and to your audience. Have a great day.
All right, viewers, so we have to go for a short break, but up next we have Mr. Michael Stewart, who's a motivational speaker and communications consultant, and he's going to be talking about Let's Meet, Let's Talk. But do us a favor, share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back after these messages.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
So guys, there are some new developments in housing in Tobago. So it's goat racing time. This is 116, the show that keeps you in the know with all things Tobago House of Assembly. Each week, 116 delivers a fun and engaging overview of the latest developments, achievements, activities, and events of our dynamic assembly. So join me. Let's dive into the Tobago House of Assembly's Week in Review right here on 116.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. And we have on the line with us this morning Mr. Michael Stewart, who is a motivational speaker and communications consultant. And he's here to talk to us about an event called Let's Meet, Let's Talk. Good morning and welcome, sir.
Good morning, and let me say good morning to both of you all. You all have been doing a very good job. Let me give you all also praise for the way you all operated in the house. Yes, you all did a marvelous job.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stewart. So let's get right into it. What is Let's Meet, Let's Talk about?
So Let's Meet, Let's Talk is in response to International Men's Day. And the theme, as you know, is celebrating men and boys, supporting men and boys. So as the ambassador for International Men's Day and also the founder of my own organization called Be Men, which means Be Male Examples Now, we wanted to have a chance to be able to meet with the men, talk with the men, relax with the men, and so on. So we collaborate with the Tobago Regional Health Authority and their Blue Room in order to have a session of there on Friday, the 21st, from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Now connect with the men, and we could explore some of those ways that we can do that connection as we go forward.
All right, so you mentioned the Blue Room. Why did you choose this venue? What was the significance of the Blue Room to men?
Well, the Blue Room is a safe space because one of the things that men tend to go to the doctors much fewer times than women do. I listened to a doctor in a conference that we had in Grenada, and he said that the average female will go to the doctor, one, because she's pregnant and she's giving birth, so she'll get checks, all her vitals will be checked. She will visit again during the time of her pregnancy and also postpartum. She is also going to visit again when that girl that comes up from her will go to the doctor by the time she's seen her period. She'll go to the doctor again when she herself gets pregnant later on in life, if she gets pregnant 3 times. So she visits multiple times prior to old age and menopause, etc. But men, really, we visit the doctor when we are well full in age and sometimes after we are way advanced in illness. The Blue Room provides a safe space to encourage men to be able to go there, talk about some of the challenges that we have that we might be a bit hesitant to talk to in the normal system. Dysfunction, erectile dysfunction, for example. The Blue Room gives you that safe space because the other patients are men, etc. And while you wait there, you're really talking about some of the very things that you're dealing with. Some of the things we're very scared about is prostate and so on because they're the digital. So the Blue Room provides so many things that make us feel comfortable being there. And so we are happy about it, that it exists and that men are accessing the services.
Mr. Stewart, so the Blue Room is that kind of safe space for men to really have that kind of interaction. In your promotion of this event, what has the response been like from men, knowing that they could do these various things at that safe space?
The response have been good. When we went to the Tobago Regional Health Authority with it, they were on board with it almost immediately. What we're doing, we are bringing in a lady who has had 17 years in doing massages, and she runs an organization called I Massage You. So we were going there to help get the men, give them some massage. That's one of the things that we don't see, that stress reliever and that tension reducing method, because we see it more or less as a feminine thing. So we want to encourage the men to come. It is not one of those full body massage. It is one of those that give you that 10 minutes, 15 minutes upper body massage and so on. So when we went there with that alone, we even got good support from the TRHA when they also suggested that the normal services of the body mass index, their blood pressure, their sugar levels, and also their HIV status, which we felt is also nice, a very good addition to it, so that we can have a holistic view of our health. Screening is important, and many times a man screens late after he is full blown, when he could have been seeing his trends as over the years, etc. And we want to encourage men to do that. So we've been getting good support from them, and we've been getting good support from the public, where they've been calling in and saying that they want to come in. We want the divisions to send them in. We want people who are hearing it to send it. It is free of charge. We're going to be playing cards. We're going to be playing dominoes. We'll be having talks with the men, one-on-one chats for those who want to talk about some of the things that they're going through in their family life, in their health life, in their own personal space. We'll be doing all of that in a 9 to 1 o'clock span. So just come up to the Blue Room and you will meet us there. We are going to be at the old hospital, Fort King George.
Now, I must commend you on your initiative, right? But how has the response been from, the men in general? Because, most men are, I would say, afraid to come forward, and to have that kind of uncomfortable conversation. So how has the responses been from men in terms of coming to the event and wanting to actually patronize?
That's improving. I will tell you this, though, that most of the calls have been from wives calling to book their husbands, which is not uncommon, because many times a man seeks medical care because he has been nudged, pushed, cajoled by his wife or his female partner to be able to go and seek help. And I think that women may have contributed to men saving their lives or preempting illness because they have been so diligent in asking the men to be able to go there. One doctor told me that most times that a man comes in for test or for screening is because he has been prompted strongly by a woman. And I saw that this week when we had so many women calling in and saying, I want to book a space for my husband or my boyfriend to be able to come in. So it's a collaborative effort, but the thing that makes men hesitant is that it makes us almost vulnerable. Men don't like vulnerability. We don't like things that are going to let us look less than strong. So some of the, if we're going to do prostate, we're not going to do prostate on this one, but let's say take prostate that requires the digital, the utilizing of the finger to go up into a man from the rear end. It's not something that a man really looks forward to. Myself being a survivor of prostate cancer, I had to experience that, but I came to accept it quite early because when I realized that when your woman is going for her own pap smear and the position she has to go into and what she has to go through, and she has to do that regularly. I think that we're too sensitive when it comes in that area. One man told me he'd rather die than to be able to go through that. But you know the pain to go through prostate cancer, you know the kind of suffering that one goes through to die. So we need to be able to put a greater value on our health and wanting to find out what it's all about. HIV status, which is one of the things that we're going to be doing, is a bit foreboding and for men to be able to go and say, boy, you know, you're there waiting on the results. Now, these results are the rapid results with the rapid test. So while you are there and waiting, your test will be available to you. So you don't have the mental stress of waiting till you go back to your home and wait for weeks to get results and so on. And these results would be more or less prompt you to be able to do further tests to determine your status with it. But we asking men to come off the horse. Let's go out there. Our families depend upon us to be alive and healthy. Our work continuity depends upon us to be alive, healthy, and well to be going to work every day as we have been contracted to in order to be able to bring home proper earnings to our family. So look at it from the long term and the benefits that we're going to get when we are healthy, strong men, both mentally and physically.
Mr. Stewart, you mentioned the HIV testing and that they will get the results back. Is the rapid testing and they'll get the results back while they're there. Do you have any counseling services on standby in case someone may be testing positive?
The TRHA is well positioned to handle those issues. They do their test and they have their systems in place, and that will be there. We as men will talk man to man, but we don't have the kind of psychological support that they would need in the health sector to be able to tell them these are the things to be able to manage with their health. But we will be there to give support and to be able to chat with the men and give them that kind of bolstering while they are there. But I'm very confident that the Blue Room has operated very efficiently over the number of years, and they will continue to do so.
Okay, Mr. Stewart, before we wrap up the interview, just give one last marketing push for your event, Let's Meet, Let's Talk.
Yes, so it is Friday. It is at the Blue Room at the Old Hospital. It is from 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock. We're asking people to come and stay for the period of time because we'll be playing games with cards and dominoes. We'll be also doing the test while you wait for your massage because those who want to have their massage done, and we encourage people to have it done. And while you're waiting, we'll be doing your BMI, your body mass index, which that is important to show your height, your weight, your age. Are we at the right size? So that it does not predispose us to some of these communicable, non-communicable diseases. So we need to be able to know that we are not overweight, underweight, and so on. We have the right size for it. So you're going to have that, your sugar level. Sometimes people are in pre-diabetes position, and you can prevent yourself from going into full-blown diabetes if you can pick it up early and reverse it with exercise and diet, etc. We don't have to go on the medication. It is when we wait too late. So that we will also be going to do your blood pressure silent killers, that diabetes and blood pressure, because it creeps up on us. We don't feel it, we don't know it until when we are doing our checks to find it out. My telephone number for those who are interested to be able to book to come, it is 480-0080. Let me say that again, 480-0080. November 21st, that's Friday, tomorrow at the Blue Room.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Michael Stewart, for joining us online and speaking with us concerning this very important event, and we wish you all the success tomorrow.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right, viewers, we have to go for a short break, and when we come back, we enter our Men in Business segment. So up next, we have Mr. Sean Durham, the owner of Mr. Perfect Tint, and Mr. Asher, and he's going to be talking about his entrepreneurial journey. So do us a favor. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back after these messages.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. Rooted in connection, driven by community. It's who we are at the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and the service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships, it's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
goals, we've got them. At S&R Hair Fantasy, we provide a wide variety of quality hair, the latest hair accessories, adult toys, skin lightening products, female underwear, and much more under one roof. Check us out on Shelbourne Street in Plymouth or call us at 317-0808. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. S&R Hair Fantasy for queens who know exactly what they want.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, and we have in studio with us for our Men in Business segment, Mr. Sean Durham, who's Mr. Perfect Tint, Mr. Asher, and he has so many businesses. And I just want to show the viewers a little something Mr. Durham brought for us here, some wings. And I don't know if they could zoom in on that, but oh, look at that. Look at that, oh my goodness, sesame seeds and everything. Good morning and welcome, sir. How are you?
Good morning, good morning. I am perfect this morning.
I know my producer wanted to steal one of the boxes, but he'll have to wait and that. He'll have to make his journey down to your place.
Down to Smoke Pit, located 1 minute walk after Isha on the same side.
All right, so Mr. Durham, we're talking about men in business. How long have you been in business and what really motivated you to get into business?
I've been in business since Standard 5.
Wow.
Yeah, my journey is a long journey. It started with me, I used to make beads and sell in school. Then I used to sell postcards around Christmas time. So business was always a part of me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I get into Tintin, then Isha Bar, and now Smoke Pit restaurant.
So what was the transition like? Like, why did you decide to go into Tintin? What was the transition with that like?
You want the real answer, boy?
Why not?
Well, what they say in local culture, actually is a horn. So I was the outsider, and she said, hey, why not get your car tinted? And the same day I tinted the car, I got stripped.
Mm.
And when I went and tint over the car, I just sat and I watched what the guy was doing. And I was like, you know what? I could do this. Buy the tools, buy my first box of tint. It cost $900 at the time. And just boom from there.
Okay, and we know that Mr. Perfect Tint is a really well-established business in Tobago. What was that journey like building that business up?
For me, once you love what you do, it's easy. So to say building it was hard, I just stay committed, stay focused, and keep your quality at a standard that surpass your own expectations.
Nice. So you now own 3 businesses, right?
Basically. Yeah.
How do you do that work-life balance in terms of, own up 3 businesses? Because I understand that all too well.
Yeah.
Right? You have 3 businesses. How do you manage that mentally?
It's very stressful. Sometimes I feel very overwhelmed. But if you have, my biggest supporter is my mom.
Nice.
So once she's there, sometimes it just becomes easy. And then set goals, try to manage the time, and just let it flow after that.
So you have Mr. Perfect Tint, Mr. Asher, and Smoke Pits.
Yeah.
What motivated, what was the reasoning behind going from a tint business to expand into, branch off into a bar and then branch off into food?
Well, the original layout that was supposed to happen, according to my plan, but probably not the father's plan, was from Tintin I wanted to get into food. Because when I watch Tobago, we didn't have authentic barbecue, meaning parboiled chicken, charcoals, right? So that's what we do. So my first thing was to do that. I look at a place in Crown Point, when you're supposed to sign the contract, the person say they're not doing it again. And I get opportunity to do the bar. And then from there, the restaurant just come in, it just fall into place. The reason why I went into food is because when I finish work, sometimes long hours, I don't like I wait 20 minutes, half an hour. I prefer just go home. Right? So that is one of my standing points at the restaurant. I tell my staff, you mustn't wait too long for food. So we prep everything, do everything. So when you come in, most times somebody come for something to eat, they're hungry, they're tired, they want to get in and get out. So yeah, so that was the other standpoint, the time factor.
Now holding you to that word where I would come by establishment, do I do it wrong, eh? I'm holding you to that.
Yeah, you could.
Okay, very good.
And then also what I do now, what you see is what you get. So we put love in everybody box of food.
Nice.
So plating it, because you can sit in, you can eat in, right? So I'm not going to do anything extra because you're a producer, you're a host. No, when you come in, what you see is what you get. So everybody get the same thing across the board. Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Perfect Tint, Mr. Asher, Smoke Pit, you're doing a lot right now. But where do you see Sean Durham in terms of business 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
Probably it's about 2 or 3 other businesses. Yeah.
So you have any other fields you're looking into, or that's a trade secret?
It's a trade secret, but yes, I have actually 2 in mind right now.
Okay.
As in niche markets, because I try to look at what Tobago don't have, so you could offer it.
I know a lot of entrepreneurs and gurus, business gurus, always say that the best business ideas to get into is to service a need for the society, and those businesses tend to succeed the most. Yeah. How important is that to you, to service a need in society?
It is paramount. So even in the tinting, service the need. In the bar, service. So even in my interviews, all my staff, I am bent on customer service. Customer service, and then the service you need. So there's a need for barbecue, so we fill that void, right? There's a need for a good liming spot, we fill that void. Need for good tint, fill that void.
Now, you mentioned customer service, and Crown Point has an entire strip, right? Of course, we see a lot of tourists coming in because the airport is very close by. How do you train your staff into customer service to ensure that that is reflected on your business or in your business?
Right. We start with greeting customers. There are standard procedures that must be followed, right? Treat everybody like family. Treat every customer that come in as if it was your best friend.
Nice.
That you want a service. So with that mindset and philosophy, everything runs smooth. Because I have a girl at front there now. She's new, and I only reopened Friday, and so far her reviews has been excellent. So she took the training.
So I hear you talking about structure here. You're basically talking about structure, and I know that statistics for new businesses, failure of new businesses is high. A lot of new businesses tend to fail within the first year or 2 years of operation. How important would you say is structure towards the success of a business?
It works hand in hand. It works hand in hand as in, you don't have to be a bad boss or a mean boss, but you have to put down your foot for your mission statement and for your vision. So I show all my staff my vision and make sure that they do this stuff ensured to follow that vision at all times.
So unfortunately, we have to wrap up the interview now, but just tell the public any last message you'd like to give to men in particular, because this is International Men's Day. We're celebrating Men's Week, in terms of encouraging them into getting into business and really trying to service those missing gaps, and those needs within the Tobago society.
Right. So my last instruction or advice would be, First, believe in yourself. We try to outsmart nobody. Always put your best foot forward. And even at times when you believe that you can't do it, you push a little harder. And most times, the reward is right after that.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sean Durham, for coming in and speaking to us about Mr. Perfect Tint, Mr. Asher, and Smoke Pit Barbecue in our Men in Business segment. And we wish you lots and lots of success in the future. And we wish that your businesses grow from strength to strength. Viewers, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our programming for the Tobago Updates morning show. But we have Beneath the Surface up next with Rhea. And she will be on the line to speak with us just for a short while to tell us who to expect in studio today. Good morning, Rhea.
Hi, good morning to you, Akinlabi and Akil.
So, Rhea, who are we having in studio this morning with you?
Now, I know we're talking beneath the surface, but I do trust that you're going to save some of those wings for us offset. I just had to put that in. You and Akil and Mr. Perfect Tint. You guys are certainly having some fun on set with those wings. But just to get back to your initial question, on the program Beneath the Surface this morning, we will be chatting with Councillor Petal Ann Roberts, Secretary for Finance, Trade and the Economy.
All right, so we know that Ms. Roberts would have had a number of initiatives that she would have been pushing and a number of reforms within that division. So we're very eager to hear what she has to report for us and about her term in office. We have these wings here. We know we earn a little bit of pressure to share the wings, so we'll be generous and we'll give everybody a little piece, a little taste, so that they could go down and support Smoke Pit whenever they feel to munch on some wings. Thank you very much, Rhea. And ladies and gentlemen, Rhea Richardson George is up next with Beneath the Surface. So do us a favor. Share the live, share the live, share the live. Beneath the Surface is up next.
Because oncology is an illness that most people think is the end of life and oh gosh, my family member is dying, there are a lot of support for patients. Therefore, a lot of patients, relatives, friends and well-wishers follow them to clinic. The building that we now exist in is really small. We have 6 chairs in the waiting area, and then we cannot accommodate patients and relatives. If it rains, relatives have to find their cars. The sun is hot, relatives have to find under trees. This situation was untenable. Therefore, the proposed move is welcome. I've been to the place, I've visited. The ambience is good. I know there is some construction to be done to make it fit for purpose at this time. And I do believe and I do feel that move, we will be able to enhance the care we give in various ways, because then we have space. Relatives will be able to come and sit with patients. That kind of intimate support will be there. For me, if I have to say yes or no to the move, I would have said yes in 2012, 2013, thereabout, when the population started growing. That is after we had started in 2010, and patients knew that we had services available in Tobago, and they start migrating from Trinidad. Definitely, patients, relatives would be happy. Patients would be happy. Staff would welcome, because the unit is definitely tight. You can't move a wheelchair around the unit. There's one patient toilet. The situation is not good as it is.
About 40 years ago, I got into an accident, and I got a blow, sterile stuff now, and I had a scar. And I was always conscious of feeling the scar. So one day I felt it a little uncomfortable, and I started to check it, until I decided to have a checkup. The doctors and the nurses and they were really nice. You could see they were operating under duress. The place was uncomfortable, inadequate, not comfortable to sit for privacy, and but because it's cancer, because you're doing it, and you want the service, you go. If it was for any other reason, you would have looked for somewhere else to go. But they needed and they need to be approved.
This is where, for instance, if I have to speak to a family about what's going on with a patient, I have to have the patient and all the relatives in this space. It's not really conducive to that sort of conversation, especially if the news is not good. Normally after chemotherapy, we want to see you a week later to see how you're going and check your blood count. And then a lot of times that's a second journey to St. James. A lot of people would just disappear for 3 weeks, and we hope we see them when the next treatment session comes around. Allow patients to have a bit more privacy and even have a relative come and spend some time with them while they're doing their treatment if the treatment is going on for hours. Having greater privacy would make people at least more at peace to know that, a show up at that building, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is treatment in a more beautiful environment, a more calming environment, could only make things easier for patients. They're going through enough as it is just with the illness and diagnosis and so that.
I'm so happy to know that you are doing something about it, because it's about time.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beautiful island world. You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome this morning to Beneath the Surface. I am your host, Ria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Really happy to be in your company, and we're almost to the end of our series, Beneath the Surface, Straight Talk, No Chaser. We get a little bit deeper into year 4. However, our guest this morning has not been around within this administration for the past 4 years. It's been a bit shorter, but she'll tell us about her stint. She'll tell us about her time, rather, not even a stint, but she'll tell us about her time in office. And this guest is Councillor Petal Ann Robert. She's the Secretary for Finance, Trade and the Economy. Good morning and welcome to Councillor.
Good morning, Ria, and good morning, Tobago, and all the listening and viewing audience.
It's good to have you with us this morning.
Yes.
Now, Councillor, let's get right on into things. 17 months in office, just a few months shy of 2 years or so. What has the experience been like for you? How would you describe the experience?
I think it was an experience of a lifetime.
You say is?
Well, I guess because it's coming to an end.
Okay.
All right. So, I said was because we're talking from start.
Okay.
So when I imagined on the first day,
right,
it has been remarkable, challenging, but I don't know that it is any different from what I was doing before. Before I was what I was doing was challenging, but having the opportunity to serve at the policy level has really been a great experience for me. The balancing of family life and political life and managing an economy and managing people and managing the expectations of, when I say people, I meant in the division, that's the employees, and then you have to manage the expectations of the people of Tobago.
Yeah.
That balancing, I'm still getting acclimatized to that, but more or less it has been good.
That's been good. Happy to hear. What do you know now about the office that you did not know before? Maybe you took for granted, you just did not know, but now you have a better understanding and appreciation for or of.
To be honest with you, I'll be very frank, because this is beneath the service and we're going to talk straight.
Yeah.
I now know how our political enemies, and that is the PNM, I now understand why they are on the other side. Having conversed with the former administration in terms of the former Minister of Finance, and even looking at the political environment where we have to traverse so many adversities when governing, I didn't know it was that bad. I had an idea that things politically was difficult because, as you know, there were some political disturbances where the police officers went into persons' homes, but I was not a member of the administration at that time.
Right.
I was a technocrat. And even the challenges that the Chief Secretary faced while he was Secretary of Finance, it's easy to blame someone and criticize. But sitting in the seat, sometimes many things are not within your control. So those are some of the things that I've recognized. And even managing people and managing expectations of people, I see the difficulties in that, having been sitting in the position for 17 months.
Now, it's not that you do not have your background in accounting. This has been your life, yes?
Yes, correct.
How did you go from that? Because you said, I mean, you're seasoned. You're seasoned in what you do. How did you go from that to this? You said it's basically what you were doing all along. So there was not much of a difference in terms of the portfolio, the job itself, but the transition. Give us an idea of the transition for you.
One thing, Ria, was difficult for me is to get my hands out of actually doing the work. Because, now it's policy level, you're setting policies. Before I was executing, I somewhat do a lot of the doing still.
It's sort of hard to go from...
Yeah, because we're still trying to look for a cadre of accountants like myself. We have a few in the division of finance. My replacement is very, very competent. She's also a qualified accountant with many, many years experience. She has international experience as well, which I did not really have. But understanding Tobago, the culture, the structure of the THA, the legislative framework, all of those things you must know. And even if you have all the international experience, you have to understand Tobago. But to answer your question, how did I move? I think my life has been one where I've had to move in so many periods that I recognize life is about adapting. So I adapted, I moved from, I somewhat understood what was expected. Not fully because I wasn't in the position, but having been working with previous chief secretaries, I've worked with over London, I've worked with Kelvin Charles, I've worked with Ansel Dennis, I've worked with Chief Secretary Farley now. And having worked closely with them, I have an understanding of what was required. But sitting in the position, you're still trying to understand. And pleasing the people and seeing about the needs of the people is one of the most difficult things, especially when you have constraints, bureaucratic constraints, financial constraints. You also have where you have to influence people to do the work. Because I could set all the policies, but if it's not executed, we have a problem there. So getting the people to do the work it can be challenging, but I think I'm getting there.
You've mentioned pleasing the people a few times.
Yes.
How difficult has that been, and what is it that you would like the public to understand about your portfolio? Now, you also created history as being the very first female to have held this position of Secretary of Finance.
Yes.
But what is it that you'd like the public to understand about your role that we just don't know?
What would I like the public to know? The issues that we face in Tobago, developmental deficits, is not an easy fix. It cannot be done overnight, almost immediately, within 4 years of this administration. And I think people expect things to happen. I say I want this. Many persons have come to me. The amount of persons that came to me and say, I want to work. And some of them are gainfully employed people who thinks that it's so much greener on the other side. Persons who are working in state agencies and they say, now, I need a job. There are persons who do not have qualifications, have not done anything for themselves and come to me and say, listen, I really want to work. Only because they know me. And I'm not saying that persons don't deserve a job because they have not been aptly qualified. But persons just want politicians to give them as they ask. As I ask, I must get it. I also recently had to explain yesterday. Someone called me about outstanding gratuity for a senior officer, and I asked a few questions. Was the performance appraisal satisfactory? Did the person complete the entire contract period? He just came to me and said that he heard that persons are withholding this person's gratuity. And I had to explain to him gratuity is based on certain conditions, right? So I think people just think that the THA is a lawless place. There are no regulations and you can just do what you like. And it is far from that. There are a lot of regulations. Even me as secretary, I cannot override a lot of things, right? Some persons have to understand there is a process and we are trying our best. We are doing our best to manage the little resources that we have to meet the needs of everyone across Tobago. But that may not happen almost immediately and at the same time for everyone.
Now, there are those who believe that managing the island's purse is as simple as a home budget. You know, you're accustomed doing your budget, your monthly budgets for your family or for your business, and it's as simple as that. So
yes.
If we request something, it just shift this from here and put it there.
Well,
perception.
No, that's the perception. Perception is far, 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 far from the reality in that circumstance that you just mentioned there. Managing an economy such as Tobago, where, as I said before, we have so much, our developmental gap between the two islands is so wide that we have more needs and a diverse nature of needs to meet. It is not easy because, one, the liquidity of the THA, the liquidity position, when I say liquidity, I mean actual cash. Position of the THA is not what it is on paper. Because we have incurred an overdraft interest for so many years and that have not been met with a parliamentary appropriation to offset it, we have a situation right now whereby if the government sends $100 million for the THA, we only have $50 million to spend. Because of that overdraft interest cumulatively piling up and snowballing now into a situation where the liquidity position have been compromised. That's one. Two, we don't receive our allocations for the past how many decades? We don't receive our allocations according to the law. So it means that you can't plan well in terms of the resources that you have. The Tobago House of Assembly legislation says, which is the THA Act number 40 of 1996, says that the THA must receive its releases quarterly or block means on a whole in advance. So it means that before the quarter starts, we should receive 3 months of allocation. That doesn't happen. Even now, it has improved, but it's still not that situation.
Give us a clearer picture of the impact of that scenario.
So, well, you know what that means? If we did not have an overdraft RIA, we would be running this assembly based on how we receive the money. So, for instance, right now, we would not be able to pay anything because we don't have the actual cash. So, let me give an example. We have an Appropriation Act of 1965 that says that because the budget is not read in September, our budget was read in the middle of October. The fiscal year starts October 1st.
Right.
How is Tobago, how is the country going to be run if you haven't had a budget for the ensuing year at the beginning of the financial year? Budget was read on October 13th and it was passed somewhere at the end before the 31st, but it was close to the end of the month. But there's an act that says that the THA or the government, not only the THA, must receive 10% of the previous year's appropriation in the first month. So in October, we received 10% of 2025 allocation to continue running the THA. Now, I received that check on the 22nd of October. So we receive a paper release. I received the paper release on October 13th. Paper release is just a paper that is telling you this amount of money is coming to the Tobago House of Assembly. Prepare for it. This is what we are giving you. The actual check came a week later. If we did not have an overdraft facility, we would not be able to pay a thing. And that's what that means. That actually means that we require some fiscal space to actually run and operate the assembly. That's what that actually means.
How difficult? Now you're talking about this. How difficult has it been? So where do the resources come from? What do you have to do?
We have an overdraft facility. That means we spend in excess of zero. So we can have $0 and we have up to $250 million to spend. Well, 243.6. Because we actually have a letter of credit as part of the overdraft facility. So right now, once we have not received our allocation, we spend in excess of the monies in bank. And that is very, very costly for us. And that's what I was talking about. That's the overdraft interest I was telling you about.
Right.
That has accumulated because we have had this overdraft from, I think it's about 2004. So we have had an overdraft facility for so long and the interests have now cumulatively piled up. And we now seeing the effect of that and feeling the effects of that.
Now that you are sitting in this seat as the Secretary of Finance, now you indicated earlier that you would have worked under three previous chief secretaries. How different is it functioning under this current chief secretary?
How different?
Yes.
Well, all of them were different. But this chief secretary comes with youth. He comes with a clearly different mindset. The chief secretary wants to, whatever, I guess the youth voices have enunciated to him or articulated to him, he will want to see those things implemented. A bit more radical, I guess because he sees the needs so grave that he wants them met almost immediately. For instance, he asked me about a warrant on Friday. A warrant is just an authority to transfer funds between divisions. And he asked me, I said I signed the warrant, and he said, well, I needed transferred today. So I had to get my staff to do the transfer on the day that the warrant was signed. Sometimes it would go over to the next day according to the time at which it was signed. You know, so a bit more radical. He comes with more youth. He's younger than I am. So I think that's basically the difference. But all of them had different management styles, different ways of thinking. But I think he's a bit more radical than the others.
But he also comes with a background in finance similar to...
I don't know that the chief secretary has a background in finance. No, I don't.
No background
think so.
in finance.
No.
Okay. Let's leave it there. All right. So we continue talking. Now, the allocation for Tobago has been this is actually one of the largest that Tobago has ever received.
Yes.
Plans for spending. What would be the top priorities for the island?
Good question, and I'm happy to say this once again to the people of Tobago. We have a strategic development planning pathway that has articulated 21 development agenda priorities to take us to becoming the greatest little island on the planet. Mm-hmm. The plan starts from 2025 to 2045. It's 20 years. And this year we start actioning those development agenda priorities. And we have 6 in this fiscal year. Tourism. Tourism is one of the top areas, and I believe that tourism will continue to be one of our top areas. This is an island that thrives on tourism and has so much potential with regard to tourism. So tourism and the creative sector. We also have agriculture, digitization, human capital development, education and innovation, infrastructure, and the final one is investment in the micro, small and medium enterprise sector. So those are the 6 top areas. Now that doesn't mean that the other areas are going to be left without addressing.
Right.
So the other areas, settlements, sport, those areas, we continue with those, but the priority, meaning that we will actually ensure that these areas get the financing that it needs, and even the administrators will ensure that these areas are seen as above it all. These are areas that you will ensure that you action within this fiscal year.
All right, well, let's just take a quick break here, viewers. When we come back, we continue chatting with Councillor Petal and Roberts, and we're going to continue going beneath the surface, straight talk, no chaser.
We waiting so long, the people miss the bacchanal. Tobago. The countdown is on for Tobago Day 2025. From November 27th to December 6th, the island comes alive under the theme One Tobago, One People, One Destiny.
The celebration begins with the Tobago Torch Run, led by the Chief Secretary, Assemblyman, and our proud sporting groups.
Then, on November 28th, the THA Triathlon takes center stage. On November 29th, we all head to the Shore Park Recreational Grounds for the Tobago Games, Sports and Family Day, games we used to play from 6 p.m.
Join us on December 2nd for the Thanksgiving Harvest Service at the Shore Park Complex from 10 a.m.
Bring your Tobago produce, share your blessings, and celebrate community. Then, December 3rd and 4th, discover our roots on the Scarborough Heritage Bus Tours. 2 daily departures at 9 a.m. and 1 p.m.
On December 4th, witness excellence at the Tobago Day debate beginning at 10 a.m. at the Assembly Legislature.
And the Tobago Day Awards ceremony, 7 p.m. at the Shore Park Complex.
And for the grand finale,
December 6th, the cultural concert and drone show lights up the Scarborough Esplanade from 7 p.m. It's all about Tobago Day 2025. One Tobago, one people, one destiny.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. Rooted in connection, driven by community. It's who we are and the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. with a lot of pretty girls down there, down in Tobago.
Viewers, welcome back to Beneath the Surface. Straight talk, no chaser. Our guest still on set with us, Councillor Petal Ann Roberts, Secretary for the Division of Finance, Trade and the Economy. Now, just before we took the break, Councillor, you were speaking about some of those areas, in fact, of how the monies will, well, the areas, the priority areas. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that tourism would definitely be one of those because of what Tobago represents and stands for, making it into the greatest little island on the planet. Yes. And you indicated that this does not mean that the other areas will be neglected, mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go back a little bit here in terms of you mentioned 5 or 6 areas. Six areas. Can you reiterate those areas for us again, please?
Tourism and the creative mm-hmm. sector, infrastructure, human capital development, education and innovation. That's one. Mm-hmm. Digitization. We are going to prioritize that as a focal area, especially in this era. Investment in this small, micro and medium-sized enterprises. I don't know if I left it. And agriculture. And agriculture. I think that's a 6.
What would digitization mean for us as Tobago? When we talk, sorry, go ahead.
It's interesting. When the IMF, they normally would give us support in terms of technical support training, and when they came to Tobago, they recognized that we are doing everything manual. I don't know if you understand. And that's one of the things you're asking me, if people understand what is required to run this government. We are running this government manual. Manual meaning you start the process of incurring an expenditure in writing, and it ends with actually typing a check on a typewriter. That is how manual and behind that we are. And in terms of the public financial management information system, RIA, we have been, for the last 10 years, trying to adopt the integrated financial management information system. Well, you know what that means? That means we are digitizing and modernizing from, as I just told you, budgeting to the financial statements of the Assembly. The government, the former administration, the People's National Movement, they started this process. It's a project called the IFMIS project, whereby we engaged the IDB. The IDB gave us a loan. We paid for all the works to do this IFMIS project. We actually went as far as acquiring a software called Free Balance. Tobago was part of the pilot, and the final years of that administration, they took Tobago off the pilot. So I'm really pushing right now. I actually had meetings with Free Balance so far, meetings with the Minister of Finance, meeting with the PS Finance about getting Tobago back top of the agenda of that project.
Why were we taken off?
I wouldn't be able to tell you why we were taken off, but I believe it's political victimization. I believe that is what it was, because we were a part of the pilot. As a matter of fact, when I was chief management accountant, I fought for that. And when we had the director of finance at the time, I told him Tobago has to be a part of the pilot. They had about 4 pilot agencies or ministries, and I said Tobago had to be a part of that because Tobago is very unique. So we started the work. All accounting officers were trained. We bought all the hardware, the infrastructure, the computers, the printers necessary to adopt and implement IFMIS. One thing they did not do is understand Tobago. Tobago and Trinidad's financial architecture are very, 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 very different. Diverse. It's just
one country, different. Twin island.
Extremely different. It's just as the people of Tobago are different from the people of Trinidad and culture, it's the same way. And we also have a legislative framework, the Tobago House of Assembly Act, that actually guides and governs. We have the THA financial rules that tells you how the THA operates. Now, what they didn't do, the principals in Trinidad didn't do, they did not try to understand Tobago and how Tobago operates. So they came with the same prescriptive measures, the same strategies of implementing IFMIS, and it came to a snag. I'll give you two of the things why they came to us now. One, THA banks with the commercial bank. First Citizens Bank and Republic Bank are our bankers. In Trinidad, it's the central bank. They don't deal with the commercial bank as the main operating banking system.
Right.
Central bank. Trinidad thought that we used the central bank. So the check template, they came across with it and said we have to adopt this, and we said no, we don't use those checks.
This is Ministry of Finance.
But
is this while you?
I was chief management
at the time,
yes.
Right?
So it was under the previous administration.
Mm-hmm.
So part was under the previous, and we came into this administration as well, because I recall coming to finance. I was actually working on the office of the chief secretary, but I was coming to finance very often to assist them in the implementation process. And we had several meetings with the ministry. So we had to tell them, listen, we do not use central bank checks. We can't adopt that template because First Citizens Bank has their check template. So the checks have to pass through the printer and it has to be set up on the computer in the free balance system. They could not change or customize the checks for for the system that we utilize. So that was one. They had to go back and rethink how they're going to do this thing in Tobago. The second thing is the THA has adopted the automated clearinghouse method of payment. Yes, we utilize checks, but we also pay persons. Most persons in the THA get payment through ACH or direct transfer to their bank accounts. The IFMIS, the free balance software, was only customized for check. It was not designed to do that ACH transaction. ACH would require some integration between our online banking system and free balance. They did not know that. So they had to go back and configure again. Another thing with free balance, they had a high staff turnover. I guess persons were so frustrated with this whole implementation process. We saw new persons coming on board and having to learn Trinidad's way of doing business and then Tobago's way of doing business. So what I've asked the Minister of Finance, the current Minister of Finance, is that let Tobago lead this charge. Trinidadians don't understand. It's no offense. It's just the reality of the situation. Tobago needs to lead this. So I've asked him if we can just lead off our project on our own, just give us the free balance support and let us do the implementation of the IFMIS in Tobago. He has agreed, but I think it would mean some adjustments to their contractual arrangement because the scope of the contract entails, as I said, the banking and the ACH, so they will have to do some adjustments to the software.
What has the relationship been like between the THA, your particular division, and the central government ministry? And I've asked several of the assemblymen this question. What has the relationship been like for you?
For me, cordial, harmonious, respectful, to the point where Minister Tanko and I talk all the time. We had a conversation on free balance. We actually spoke yesterday, on a situation with Carl. We converse almost, I would say, every week on matters relating to Trinidad and Tobago, financial matters. We spoke about the appropriations, getting them quarterly or block in advance. He did indicate the challenges, but they are working towards trying to get their liquidity situation improved so that they can give Tobago the allocations according to the law. The thing is, sometimes when situations cannot be met, a simple cordial explanation will do. We didn't get that before. What we got before was Tobago not getting that. We don't care about you. It was very, very disrespectful, but it has been very, very cordial.
Those words were said, or is it the way you felt?
So in one case, let me give you verbatim what was said in a situation. I don't know if you recall or you know about a situation where we had Hurricane Beryl. When Hurricane Beryl passed, and we got very insignificant effects of that. But in the east, it was grievous for the persons in the east, where a lot of persons got some destructions. We have an insurance policy. The government has an insurance policy called the Caribbean Risk Insurance Facility. And there are two policies, one for Tobago and one for Trinidad, to restore you to the position that you were before the disaster. So there was a claim from Trinidad and there was a claim from Tobago. Tobago's claim was about $372,000 US dollars. The insurance company wrote to Tobago, they gave us the report and they told us this is your claim. So obviously, as Secretary of Finance, I would go to the minister and said, all right, how do we access that funding? The former Minister of Finance says, you don't pay a policy, so you're not getting, Tobago is not getting that. And that money got tied up somewhere, and Trinidad was able to benefit from that payout. And we have people in Tobago who are still suffering from Hurricane Beryl's effects. Those were the words. I'll give you another example. When the Appropriation Bill becomes an act, this means that Tobago is entitled to this appropriation. Now it's $2.97 billion. And then we could disaggregate it from recurrent to development program. On September 30th, we do the calculations to ensure that we receive the appropriations according to law. So let's say I'll do it in simple terms. The appropriation is $100. On the morning of September 29th, we recognize Tobago have only received, what did I use, $100? Tobago have only received $95. We'll have conversations with the Ministry of Finance and says, all right, you have $5 for us. In the past, we have always been short. We have never gotten the $5. So we calculated the shortfall over a period of about 8 years for the former Minister of Finance and said, listen, this is what was the appropriation, this is what you gave us. You need to make good the shortfall. And the Minister of Finance says, well, I have the authority to make those adjustments. And unfortunately, that is dead and gone, and you're not going to get that. Tobago is not going to get that money. But I want to say, fortunately for us, in fiscal 2025, the same conversations I had with the former Minister of Finance, I have it with Minister Tanku. We went to Minister Tanku and said, under recurrent, this is the amount that is owed to Tobago, and under development, this is the amount that is owed to Tobago. I think at the time it was 170 million, 153 for recurrent and 17 for development program. We got every single cent.
And this was over a period of?
No, this one was fiscal 2025. Okay. I did go to the Minister of Finance now and said, this is the shortfall that the previous administration had for us. And he indicated, listen, that is already gone. But at the same time, the conversations I have each fiscal year with the Minister of Finance, I had it with Minister Tanku. In fiscal 2024, we went to the Minister of Finance and said, this is the balance for us. We did have a shortfall at the end. In fiscal 2023, same thing. Every year, there's a shortfall. And we say to them, these are our calculations of our appropriations and releases to you so far. This is the revenues that we receive. Therefore, this is the amount that is outstanding for the Tobago House of Assembly. And we don't ever receive those amounts. But in the last fiscal, we received every single cent that we asked for. And we told them this is the balance to the Tobago House of Assembly for fiscal 2025. And we received that 170 million as at the 30th of September. That is the difference.
And that is significant for Tobago.
Of course it is. You see, when we have shortfalls, we can't pay people. We receive our allocations from Trinidad and nowhere else. Tobago generates revenue of about $5 million every year when we collect little fees and stuff. Those are not offset against the appropriation. What we offset against the appropriation is about $200 million. Where would we get the monies from to pay our suppliers, to pay our contractors, to pay our employees, to run Tobago's economy? It has to be from Trinidad. So when you give us short, what does that mean? It means that you get paid short. It means that our service providers get paid short. And that's the repercussion of the shortfalls over the previous
The
years.
trickling effect.
Yes.
Now, I know earlier during our first segment, I made mention of the chief having had a financial background, and we wanted to clear that up.
Yes.
Not that he has a financial background, excuse me, but that he functioned as the Secretary of Finance previously. But you wanted to add something to that, so I'll give the opportunity before we go to the break.
All right. Well, one thing about the Chief Secretary is he's a brilliant man. And I believe that not all secretaries have a background in the area that they are leading. But once you have a cadre of persons around you with that technical knowledge and skill and that could give you that guidance and advice, that's almost...
Of which you were a part.
Of which I was a part. So I've always, as I said, I've always supported chief secretaries and Secretary of Finance. At the time I did support Dr. London. I was his financial analyst and senior financial analyst also to former Joel Jack. So I worked very, very closely with them, giving them the support, giving them the guidance, looking at the numbers, doing the analysis, giving the advice. And I did the same thing for Chief Secretary at the time now. So I think the Chief Secretary was so maybe blown away by knowledge and experience. He said, well, listen, it's better I just ask you to take the position. And
your youth and expertise.
Yes.
Yes. All right, now we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, very interesting question. What factors led you to make the decision of accepting this position? We're going to talk about that when we come back from the break. Or did you just say yes, no, yes, yes? Stay tuned, viewers. This is Beneath the Surface. Straight talk, no chaser.
We waiting so long, the people miss the bacchanal. Tobago. The countdown is on for Tobago Day 2025. From November 27th to December 6th, the island comes alive under the theme One Tobago, One People, One Destiny.
The celebration begins with the Tobago Torch Run, led by the Chief Secretary, Assemblymen, and our proud sporting groups.
Then, on November 28th, the THA Triathlon takes center stage. On November 29th, we all head to the Shore Park Recreational Grounds for the Tobago Games, Sports and Family Day, games we used to play from 6 p.m.
Join us on December 2nd for the Thanksgiving Harvest Service at the Shore Park Complex from 10 a.m.
Bring your Tobago produce, share your blessings, and celebrate community. Then, December 3rd and 4th, discover our roots on the Scarborough Heritage Bus Tours. 2 daily departures at 9 a.m. and 1 p.m.
On December 4th, witness excellence at the Tobago Day debate beginning at 10 a.m. at the Assembly Legislature.
And the Tobago Day Awards ceremony, 7 p.m. at the Shore Park Complex.
And for the grand finale,
December 6th, the cultural concert and drone show lights up the Scarborough Esplanade from 7 p.m. It's all about Tobago Day 2025. One Tobago, one people, one destiny.
Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bulge oil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meats served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Viewers, welcome back to Beneath the Surface. Straight talk, no chaser. Our guests, we're still chatting this morning with Councillor Petal and Roberts. And just before we took the break, the question was posed. What were some of the driving factors for her accepting the position of Secretary of Finance, Trade and the Economy? How did you decide? What were the navigating factors that led you to say, yes, I'll do this?
Right. So, interestingly, several persons spoke that over my life. And I used to tell them, no, not me. I never imagined. I was watching a picture of myself whilst I was chief management accountant. And I said, but never would I imagine that I would have been a Secretary of Finance. But on a more serious note, any decisions that I have to make that are life-changing, that can affect family, that can affect my future, I take it to God in prayer. So I had serious prayer and fast, not only by myself, but I had two spiritual leaders, a very good friend of mine who was a pastor at the time, so I told her about it. And I have another spiritual partner who prays with me. I also told her, and when we prayed, we got the confirmation.
Confirmation, yes.
That yes, I should go, and that God will be with me. That's one. Two.
Was there an initial fear?
An initial no. There were no's, several no's. The Chief Secretary didn't only ask me in May of 2024. He asked me before. He asked me in December of 2023. I could remember clearly when he asked me. And I remember him laughing and saying, "But I'll have something to ask you, you know." And when he asked me, I said, "Chief, no." But when he asked me in 2024, I said, "Let me pray about it."
You took it a little bit more seriously.
I took it seriously, and I felt inside that perhaps this is a time and a season that I need to come in. And my mantra is to be the change you want to see. Sometimes you're in a situation, it could be in a marriage, it could be with your family, it could be in any situation. Sometimes you have to be the change you want to see. Sometimes we think it's the other person or persons. But I said there are some changes I wanted to see, and I think I could have effected those changes. And I said, okay, I'll take up the position. I spoke to my husband. He said yes. Once he said yes, it was a go.
How has your life changed, your personal life changed, as a result of you taking on this new role?
My children see me only at nights. I get home very, very late. My son is in Form 4, and he's doing accounting and POB and Spanish, subjects that I love, that I did, and that I think I need to, or I have a responsibility to ensure that he aces these subject areas because of my proficiency. And it's just time. Time is the limiting factor. I just don't have the time to be with them. I remember the other night I was in a meeting with the chief, and I said, "Chief, I really had to go." It was nearing midnight, and I said, it was a meeting, and I said, "Chief, it's nearing midnight. I have to go now because my son has an assignment, and I need to assist him." So with that, and just family time, you spend so much time seeing about the needs of the island to the detriment sometimes of the family. Thankfully, God has been so good. It has not led to anything that I said to the detriment just now there, but nothing is detrimental right now.
Right.
I think I have things under control. Life is about balance, and I'm trying to balance it. I really wish that I could have more time with my family, but at this time now, it just cannot be done.
But is there a support network?
Yes, definitely. I have in-laws, I have sisters, I have brother. If I need their help, I have my husband. So I have that support system around. But there's nothing could replace mommy.
Granted. What is one thing that you'd like the public to know about you that you believe they do not already know? One thing that you'd like to share with us about Petal Ann Roberts that most persons don't know.
Well, sometimes I don't even know what people know. But I'm a God-fearing person. That God is central, focal, everything in my life. I take this job seriously. I don't necessarily love politics. You know, people say to me, you're doing so well at this position and you should stay and you should consider going up for electoral representation.
Is there a plan?
I don't set my plans. My plans are actually set by God.
Okay.
So if I have to make a decision right now, there is no plan in terms of, I don't know if the plan you're asking me in terms of politics.
Politics. Or offering yourself.
I have not dismissed it and said absolutely no. I haven't said that. But it's something that I'm praying about. Because I don't take these steps very lightly. I did pray about this, taking the position for this period. And when I say this period, from June 2024 to the end of this term, I know that the Chief Secretary would like me to stay as Secretary of Finance.
He has made this clear.
He has not made it clear, but I know. I know in terms of his reactions and so forth. He has not, no. The Chief Secretary has not discussed his second term in terms of whom, you know, where he's placing anybody. But I think I'm sensible enough to know what he wants. But as I said, I place everything in God's hands. I do not necessarily have a plan. I've looked at other avenues. They are still open. So as I said, I just have, you can't have all the eggs in one basket. So I have other things that I would like to do in the accounting arena, in the strategic leadership arena. Yes, I do have plans, but I have not closed the door on serving Tobago at this level going forward.
Okay. Before we get to your legacy projects, and we're coming to that definitely before we wrap this up. Before we wrap up this interview, a question: if central releases are again delayed, do you have a contingency plan that avoids over-reliance on overdraft financing?
Yes, we do. So I had discussions. I don't want to get too much into it. We do have a contingency plan, which would involve the central government giving us a non-objection. So it would mean that there's alternative financing mechanisms to make up for that gap. So the answer to that is yes. I don't want to get too much into it because I've had discussions with the minister and I don't have a finalized answer on it just yet. We are still in discussions. We're still looking at the mechanism that we're looking at, the financial mechanism. So the answer to that is yes, of course, because I'm very concerned about it. My technical advisor and I speak about it all the time, about bridging that gap, that financing gap, and making good the how the releases come to the Tobago House of Assembly, although the minister did indicate that he is doing his best. But if that doesn't come through, yes, we have met with an alternative financing agency already to see if they can assist us in that regard.
All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about URP and CPEP. How will you ensure that the URP and CPEP programs continue to operate sustainably, given competing demands and budget pressures?
URP and CPEP has always been on the priority. As a matter of fact, they were not listed as a priority because it's kind of understood. And I think I should have said it. Every year, we set aside money for URP and CPEP for the NCUNF. So, for example, in this year, I've already said, all right, we're going to set aside money for CPEP and URP next year. So every year, that's the plan. In my plans for every fiscal year, CPEP and URP is taken care of in terms of the shortfall. We requested about $94 million for CPEP, for URP, and $43.4 million for CPEP. And we have the shortfall. We only have received an allocation of 18 and 9.2. So right now in this fiscal, we have the monies already to cater for the shortfall. And we are looking at next year already. I've already have a plan in place in this fiscal for next year, CPEP and URP. Getting them more sustainable at the executive level, we have already started to talk about that. I don't want to get too much into it because I feel the relevant secretaries should be able to articulate and should be able to announce to the public the plans. The plans is not to disband, but to get these programs more productive and efficient. Aligning URP with sustainable development goals. That's one of the things. And aligning CPEP with agriculture to make them a little more productive and aligned to agriculture. Agriculture is one of our priority projects. So utilizing CPEP to bridge any gaps that we have is one of the plans that we have. But CPEP and URP have always been, even under the previous administration, CPEP and URP have been priorities.
All right. I want to go back to a previous question, or relating to a previous question when we spoke about digitization. Where are we in terms of, in relation to other Caribbean islands? Because you did indicate that when the IMF came, that they were very surprised to see that things were still being done manually.
Yes.
Where are we? Where does Tobago position alongside the other Caribbean islands as it relates to digitization?
We are very far behind, unfortunately. However, we are looking at what the other islands have done. When Free Balance came, that's the company that the government had engaged to digitize and modernize the accounting and budgeting framework. They gave us some case studies, some case countries that are like Tobago that we can visit. Right? So I intended to, at some point in time, to make that visit and look at the structure, because he indicated that where we have like a twin island republic, or where we have several islands with different governmental arrangements, he indicated 2 countries that we can look at, Antigua, Barbuda, and there's another one, I can't remember it right now. It's a very funny name. As a matter of fact, I've never heard of that country before. And I think it's in the Pacific. Right? So he said those are the 2 that are very much like Trinidad and Tobago that we could look at and try to model in terms of implementation. When the IMF came, in terms of CATAC is the Caribbean Regional Technical Corporation. They actually do technical assistance to Caribbean islands. They did a study for us, a diagnostic assessment of our budgeting processes, and they gave us recommendations to improve. I don't know if you were listening or paying attention to when I, leading up to the budget, and when I presented the budget in June, the budget presentation in June was really the adoption of our recommendation of the IMF that our budgeting process is a bit complicated. So to make it simple, you should have a broad budget in June. And in November, when the budget is ready, you have a more detailed budget process. Okay. So I actually adopted that. And then they recommended some other changes, which we are adopting at the Division of Finance. But in terms of digitization, what I did at my division, and I asked my colleagues to do it in their divisions, the work plans of your heads of department must include some element of digitization. There are so many platforms, there are so many softwares, there are so many digital solutions, that we could utilize in our daily operations of the Tobago House of Assembly. So my heads of department, when you bring your work plan, you must show how you're going to use digitization. to deliver the goods and services for the people of Tobago. And I've asked the Chief Secretary if we can adopt that. At my division, one of the things I'm going to do to improve productivity and workers, I want to say the assessment or evaluation of your attendance at work. We're going to introduce a biometric system where you either have facial recognition or fingerprinting when you come into the building, so we can account for everyone in and out of the building. So security measures also for us to account for the staff and your productivity and knowing that you are on the job. Right?
Moving into the future.
Yes, moving into the future. So we are at the Division of Finance. I actually told my administrator I want the Division of Finance to be the leader in terms of digitization and digital technologies and the use of digital technologies in the Tobago House of Assembly. So we're looking forward to see the Division of Finance advance that mandate for Tobago.
All right, and finally here, let's talk a little bit about your legacy projects. Now, yes, you know what the chief, maybe where the chief's heart is with regards to you serving another term. And you're not making any plans, you're leaving it up to God. Granted, we understand that. But what would you like to see? What is that mark that you'd like to leave? Let's talk about your legacy plans here.
Legacy project, the implementation of the IFMIS. Sometimes our decisions are really based on the information that we have. If you were to ask me right now, what's the total expenditure for the Tobago House of Assembly in the month of October? I wouldn't be able to tell you readily because we are manual. It would mean that there would have to be some calculations. We have what you call account monitoring officers that actually collects the data for us, put it in Excel and that kind of thing. But I can't go on my phone at the snap of a finger and pull up a software and say, this is the position of the Tobago House of Assembly. And therefore that means my decision making is somewhat delayed. We can't make the decisions without, or I would say sound decisions without information. And I really want to see that improve. I want to see the digitization of the Tobago House of Assembly so that we become more efficient. I can have financial statements, I can have financial reports, I can have more accountability and transparency. So for instance, I would send money to divisions and you would still hear divisions crying out or persons in the public crying out and saying they have not been paid. My responsibility is to release the funding that we receive, and even if we don't receive it, to get the funding out there. But then you're still not saying if we have a digitized solution, we'll be able to bridge those gaps. So one of my legacy projects is the digitization in terms of the public financial information system. Yes. The second one is the Tobago Development Fund. I'm not sure if you are aware, but this is a new institution under the Division of Finance that will manage all the financial products and services that we offer. We have the venture capital company. We have the business development unit. We also want to be more attractive in terms of drawing investments to Tobago. And this will be the agencies to get investments into Tobago to do those large projects. So the Tobago Development Fund will not only concentrate on the small, medium and small, micro and medium enterprise sector, but the large industries as well. So that fund, I want to see that up and running, and that has already been registered. We have a line item, we have an allocation, so we're going to start the Tobago Development Fund. As a matter of fact, we are now looking at amalgamating the services, the company, Venture Capital Equity Fund, and the Business Development Unit into the Tobago Development Fund. That's where we are at. So by January, we should see those two agencies subsumed into the Tobago Development Fund, and you would see the fund, the marketing and promotion and what that fund is going to do for Tobago. It would be one of the economic drivers for Tobago's economy.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I just want to share very quickly with you and our viewers what's happening on the live. Hugh Brown says we need a branch of Central Bank in Tobago.
Oh, yes. I forgot to say that I did have conversations on that. So I'm happy you raised that because there's so many things happening. So, yes, we did have conversations on a sub-office of the Central Bank in Tobago.
Okay. Newton George says the opposition is always talking about money going to Trinidad contractors. Can you explain the procurement legislation to the people of Tobago? I don't know if you...
Well, Ria, that conversation about things going to Trinidad, there is no evidence to suggest that. As a matter of fact, my last sitting in the House, I calculated for you the amount of monies we have spent under the Division of Infrastructure, which is a division that actually engages large projects. We have paid more to Tobago contractors than Trinidad. It was about $91 million over the last 3 years. We paid to Tobago contractors, even the ones that were not engaged by this administration. And so far, the ones that were engaged from Trinidad was about $61 million. So I don't know, there is no evidence to suggest that. However, the procurement process, Ria, is very open. There's a criteria that you must adhere to in order to be able to be approved to provide these contracts. And sometimes the Trinidad contractors are the best ones when you do your evaluation criteria. As a matter of fact, politicians don't get involved in that. Any contract in the Division of Finance, I don't get involved. My plans were changed the other day. And I was like, where are the plans? Why the plans changed? They said, well, the contract came to an end for the plans, and they had to engage a procurement process to get a new service provider for plants in the division. I had no say. I had absolutely no say. And I have absolutely no say in terms of how projects are executed. However, we try as much as possible to ensure locality is one of the criteria.
Right.
But there are some projects where we just don't get Tobago contractors to bid because they may not have the financial capabilities, the technical capabilities, and so forth. So sometimes we have to lean on the Trinidad contractors who has the experience, the financial capabilities, and the technical capabilities to provide the service for Tobago.
So it's not that Tobago is being left out. It is just that.
As a matter of fact, Tobago contractors have to get themselves a little more ready for the contracts that we have. But there is no deliberate plan or plot to just leave Tobago contractor. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, my first call is on Tobago's contractors, Tobago service provider in the Division of Finance. I have given support in terms of grant and loan funding for Tobago. Next week, you would see we have a loan promotion for vehicles for agro-processors and farmers to acquire vehicles. The 4x4 and the panel vans, you would see that very, very soon. It was only launched yesterday, which I'm sure I don't have enough time to go into. But this administration does not, and there's a narrative out there that we have been giving contracts to siphon monies to Trinidad. That is not true. It is not true. As a matter of fact, we have a plan right now to pay the service providers engaged by the former administration, because we had the forensic audit, and the forensic audit did say these are contracts that you can pay, and we have a plan to pay them off. We have to continue Tobago. We cannot say that Tobago contractors cannot do the job and we just sit and say, okay, we'll wait until they are ready. We can't do that, right? Okay. So we have a procurement process of which we are not a part of, and the administrators and the accounting officers and the procurement officers, they handle those things, and we expect that. We just want to get the things done in Tobago.
All right, very quickly here, Andre Edwards says, beauty and brains, perfect combination. And they're not talking about me for sure. All right. They're not talking about me. All right. Rodney Piggott says, great idea on the monitoring and leveling up on productivity. Be prepared for the aches and pains from the floor. Do back. Push through it.
Yes.
The floor will adjust to your steps.
As a matter of fact, he's saying that, but I get a sense that our staff really people want to see Tobago become the greatest little island on the planet. We just need the policies and we need the strategies. We need to give them clear directives. Okay. And I believe that putting the policies in place, as I said, we want to have a digitized system to monitor staff attendance and punctuality. Once what is measured is done. So if you can measure and you can let them know that you're looking at them. And I also told my heads of department, let us try to become that greatest little island on the planet. Just we are the ones. You be the change you want to see. I took up this position to be the change I want to see. I think it's about time everybody adopts that mandate and that mantra as well.
There are two teachers at Signal Hill Government Primary School, and their mantra is, if it doesn't get monitored, it doesn't get done. Definitely.
That's right.
All right. And finally, here we have Bridget M. Smith, who says, Secretary Petal Ann Roberts' preparation and path thus has been led by God, and for such a time as this, excellent job, Secretary.
Thank you.
All right. I think we can leave it there. But thank you so much for being with us, for taking the time to join us this morning.
Yes, it was an absolute pleasure.
It was really good having you on set. Because we're going to leave it there for today. Lots more coming up tomorrow. But we're going to leave that there. We want to thank you for joining us. We trust that you stay safe on the island's roads, and we will see you tomorrow, God willing. Be blessed. Bye-bye.
Start to rise.